Here's another video someone requested. They wanted to know how to frame a garage door opening. And I think the best way to explain it as far as the finished dimensions go would be to point out that the jambs, the finished measurements, need to be a 1/2 inch smaller on each side. So if the garage door is 16 foot wide, this would need to be a 1/2 inch smaller. You need to be a 1/2 inch smaller on this side. So the opening here would be 15 feet 11 inches for this, so that you would have a 1/2 inch on each side. From the finished floor, top of the finished floor, to the bottom of the jamb, this would be 6 foot 11.5 inches, or a 1/2 inch smaller than 7 foot. So this would apply to most doors, but again, you would need to check with the product manufacturer. And these measurements can change or vary if you're going to use some type of insulating strip on the doors. These things are usually a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. And if that's the case, you could make the jambs a little bit larger. So I forget what they call them. It's a strip, and it goes all the way around the perimeter up against the door. It has like a little rubber flap on it, and prevents air and debris, dirt from going into your garage. We have one on our house, and it seems to work pretty good. And maybe I'll have a picture of it here later on in the video. So first things first, the garage jamb needs to be off of the foundation at least 1/8 of an inch to prevent water from absorbing into it. Common thing there. The top jamb will install first, so that you can move the side jambs to plumb them up, make sure that they're nice and level. And the top needs to be level, the floor needs to be level, and the sides need to be plumb, cannot be out of level. Another view of it there, top jamb. A view of the entire jamb there, or the side. Back to the inside, you can see here where the garage door, this one here is actually 1 inch. I have this 1 inch lower, and this is a 1/2 inch, so we only have a 1/2 inch of the jamb exposed here, where we have 1 inch exposed here. So just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what it would look like. But some people, they want to maximize the height on their garage. Even if it's a 1/2 inch, it could make a difference to them. So there's the jamb without the door. There it is with the door. And the garage door flat on the bottom. Top of the garage foundation, top of the garage floor, needs to be nice and straight. I've seen these with humps in them and bows in them, and sometimes it works out okay, but sometimes it doesn't. And again, you make it more difficult for the garage door manufacturer or the installer to install this stuff if this stuff's not as straight as it possibly can be. Go back up. Wanted to point out that this right here, the jamb is 5/8 of an inch longer back here to allow for drywall. So if you're going to have drywall on the inside, if it's 5/8, make sure this is 5/8 of an inch longer. If it's 1/2 inch, make it a 1/2 inch longer. And that ought to give you an idea. That's what the opening would look like without the door in it. In our previous example, I had a flat garage floor, or a level garage floor, and wanted to point out that this would be the most common way of having a concrete foundation for a garage. You're going to have level footings going all the way around the perimeter, and then a sloping garage floor. So if this is the case, then the header is going to need to be dropped, and the cripples above it, or the jack studs, will need to be a little longer. So just want to point that out. Your measurements will be from the top of the garage floor always. They will not be from the top of the foundation. And if you do make a mistake and you do frame this a little higher, it's no biggie. All you need to do is nail some 2x4s or 2x6 to the bottom of the header until you can, and some filler boards. Let's say that you're 2 inches, you frame this thing and you need an extra 2 inches to drop this down, put a 2x4 on there with a 1/2 inch piece of plywood and you should be okay. So it's always going to be better to have a little higher. A little lower could be a problem, but that all depends also. You could have, if you're only an inch or two, that might just be fine. With roll-up doors, you really have a lot of play. They can make them work in a variety of different cases. Now, the jamb is going to need to go down here past the concrete footing, and this could actually create a problem for the track or the tracking for the garage door. And it's not going to be a bad idea to make this, give yourself a little more room, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, or check with the product manufacturer to see how much room you actually need here. Otherwise you'll end up chipping this stuff out with a chipping hammer, and that might not be that big of a deal, but if you can solve the problem before it happens, that's always going to be better. I wanted to give you an example of what it would look like if the concrete foundation went tight up against the jamb. And if this is the case and you needed to move the jamb this way, you could always notch a little bit out of the jamb and bring it that way, and it would probably work. But again, that could create a problem for the track. If you need 1.5 inches and you need to move this in 1 inch, you're going to have a problem with the garage door track, where the rollers actually go to roll the garage door up and down to allow it to open. Now, I wanted to give you an idea what it would look like if you weren't going to install any drywall. If you're not going to install any drywall, then the garage door jamb would be flush with the interior framing. Got to look at it there, same thing. Go around here. Now I want to point out, I'm going to try and make another video to show you how to finish off the exterior of the jamb, and the jamb width, the way I have it here, where it's even or flush with the exterior framing members, will work for stucco finishes and lap siding finishes. But if you're going to use T111 or a plywood siding, then you're going to need to extend the jamb out a little bit further, or at least the width of the siding, to make it work. So I just wanted to point that out, and I am going to make another video. I will put a link here as soon as possible, and I'm actually going to make it a priority. That will be my next video for that, and I'm going to make another video to provide you with a few problems you could encounter. This right here is a 10-foot tall garage door. You could run into a variety of different problems if the garage is a lot lower, the ceiling's lower. And again, with a roll-up door, you could end up with some problems. I think that you can actually have a 7'4", something like that, minimum ceiling in the garage door to make a roll-up work. But like I said, these guys are pretty creative. They can fit some of these garage doors in really tight spots. I've seen them do it before. But again, they're not miracle workers. If the garage is too low, they aren't going to be able to do it. So again, that's what will be in the next videos. I'll put some links here, and it is off to the next video.